All right. It's always great having my next guest on the show, the Hanyak, Dustin Jacoby, who picked up a UD win at UFC 272. Dustin, how's it going?
It's going good, Ryan. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm happy to be here and very happy with the win.
Absolutely. And, it was funny listening to Joe Rogan and everyone talk throughout the fight, you not throwing kicks. And, then you said in the post-fight interview that you injured both of your legs in camp. So first, when did this happen?
Yeah, so I had been dealing with some ankle injuries after my last fight. There was just a lot of kicks thrown, and last year was a busy year for me. I had 4 fights, threw a lot of kicks throughout those fights, and it was just stuff that added up. But about 5-6 weeks ago, I did something to my left foot. I don't know if it's my tendon or whatnot that kept me from being able to walk for a significant amount of days, 4 or 5 days, and for the first time ever, I had contemplated to myself. I didn't say a lot to many people. Of course, my teammates knew. Even when we would go live in practice, there were certain live things I just couldn't do, and that all that weighs on you. You start wondering if you did everything that you could do. I couldn't run this camp. I couldn't do jump rope, which are two tools that I use big time for my camps and that I get my cardio from. And that's where I really fight the fight is during those two cardio sessions. So, yeah, man, but I like I said, I kept it to myself. I didn't really talk about it. And I knew I had to go in there and nut up and get it done.
Obviously, I have to imagine you have the utmost confidence in every aspect of your game, but knowing these injuries that you were, going through, did you feel still very confident in this fight against a tough guy in Oleksiejczuk?
Well, absolutely. Otherwise, I would not have taken the fight, just for starters. But with that being said, of course, there wasn't much doubt because when I sign on the dotted line and I'm there, I'm never going in there thinking I'm losing. And if it was the case, or I knew I couldn't compete to the best I could be, I wouldn't be in there. But there, like I said, man, when you can't run all camp, when you can't jump rope all camp, two things that I do a lot of, and then even when you're going live in camp and there's certain things you can't really push through, yeah, it's like, it definitely weighs on you. But with that being said, I was extremely confident. And another thing that made me worry was my opponent. My opponent was very good. I don't think people realize that. I had so many people reach out after weigh-ins. They're like, dude, you're going to stroke this guy. Like, look at his body, look at your body. Well, that doesn't matter. I had people saying, how did you even get matched up with this guy? You have no idea how good this guy is, man. And I do. And I knew I was in for a fight after looking into his eyes at weigh-ins. That's when you first feel your opponent. You just feel him eye to eye. I knew I was in for a fight. So hats off to my opponent. It feels really good to get a win over a guy like that and not being able to use all of my weapons.
So everyone is saying, or not everyone, a lot of people are saying that the kickboxer outboxed the boxer here in this fight, which, really you did. You won rounds 2 and 3, I'd say rather convincingly. Did you feel like after this fight was all said and done, that this was a signature win that you've had so far in the UFC? Because doing this not at 100%, it says a lot about your overall abilities.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And anytime you can get a win in the UFC, that's huge. Anytime you can get a win inside the top 20, that's even bigger. And I just climbed into the top 15. I don't know if you heard the news. I'm ranked number 15 now. So that feels really good. And yeah, of course. So I went in there and beat a guy like, but I hate trying to pronounce his name. I don't want to butcher it. But anytime I can beat a guy like that and win, I'm extremely happy. And to be able to do so, not having all of my weapons there completely, makes me feel even better.
So round 1, it was a slow start for yourself. What was going through your mind? What was your game plan going into this one, and why the slow start? Was it just kind of getting used to not being able to use your full repertoire?
Well, of course, yeah, not being able to use the full repertoire, and then like I said, I knew I was going in there limited with my kicks. But what did I do within the first little bit? I threw a good body kick that hit my foot wrong, and it just confirmed my, hey man, what are you doing? No more kicks. And then when I was across from him, he's very herky jerky, very good head movement, he was hard to find, not to mention a dominant southpaw. So even when I get into the corner after round 1, coach is like, he sits me down. He's like, all right, what are you seeing? I'm like, for one, now I kind of bumped my foot up a little bit on that first kick. So now my kicks aren't there. For 2, it seems like my kicks are hard to get going anyway. And I feel like I just can't find him. I feel like he's really good head movement. He's here and now, and then he's not there. And he's like, all right, just relax. He's like, start walking with your punches more, start flicking a little bit more, and don't tense up. Get a little more flick going. Start of the second round, we come out. I flick the jab, kind of nice uppercut, then a hook that started the wobble on his eyes. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. I started going him down, hit him with a nice left uppercut that drops him momentarily. And from that moment on is when I really felt good. But I tell you what, I also asked my other buddy and coach and cornerman, Randy Caruso, and I was like, a couple days prior, I was like, Caruso, how do we lose this fight? He's like, look, he's like, my biggest fear is you catch this guy early and you try putting him away and you blow your wad, because this guy is around for every fight in the third round. He brings it all 3 rounds and he's not going away. He's a damn zombie. So my biggest fear is you blow your wad. So as I get done trying to take this guy out, I see it in his eyes that he wants to go. I just can't find it. I then tell myself, hey man, now we're facing our biggest fear. And I did feel it, man. I hit a wall. It took a lot. I had to dig deep that third round, man.
Yeah, well, you're basically going right into my next question, because that's what I was going to ask. After that strong start in the second round, there was a point in time where, myself, the commentators watching, they thought that maybe you had tried to finish him too hard and you gassed yourself out. How difficult was that for you, the latter half of that second round, to stay in it after you expended so much energy?
Yeah, the second round was really tough, man. I kept telling myself, you got to dig deep. We talked about this. Find your second win. Find your second win. And man, when you haven't been running, when you haven't been jump roping, your legs aren't there. You're feeling extreme exhaustion. I get down. I go back to the corner. Although I felt like I won round 2, I get back to the corner. I knew it was a close fight, regardless. And I told coach, I said, man, I don't know. I was like, I'm dead. I was like, I hit a wall. He kind of grinned, kind of laughed. He's like, you went after him. He's like, look, you're going to remember this conversation right here, right now. You got a decision to make right now. He's like, you lose this fight. If you don't go out there, perform this round and win this round, you're going to think of this conversation we're having right now. Look across from that octagon. Look how tired he is. He is tired too. I need you to nut up and get this done. And that's what I did, man. I told myself, and thankfully I caught a little bit of a second win coming to the third round. Now there was another, Mark stopped the fight in the third round. He said another eye poke. My opponent didn't say it was an eye poke. He never saw it. My knuckle, I actually threw a punch, and my knuckle is what hit his eye. And he kept fighting. I was super surprised that Mark's called that fight right there and then stopped. But you know what? After talking to my corners and reassessing what was going on, I was actually pretty good. I was actually thankful that we did take a little bit of time. My opponent did take some time, and allowed me to catch my wind a little bit and get out there and finish that round strong.
So going into the third, what did Coach Montoya tell you to do? Like, what was the game plan going into round 3? Did you have anything specific that he wanted you to do?
No, there was nothing specific. There was, you got to dig deep. We definitely won that round, but now we got to go out there and finish. We got to dominate this round. We got to win this round. And like I said, man, he looked me square into the eyes. I looked him in the eyes. I told him I was done. He's like, you got to find a way, man. He kind of grinned with it, like, nah, you ain't done. You're not done, son. Let's keep going. So, yeah, man. And it also gives you that energy and that wave when you got a corner like that, and people that are, doing their best to give you their energy as well.
I thought it was a real high IQ moment for yourself inside of the octagon there in round 3 when you grappled towards the end of the fight. I felt like that really secured the round for you. Did you feel like, the momentum that you got from, utilizing your grappling ability at the end of round 3 really stole you that round?
Yeah, I think so, big time. When I started like clinching up with him and grabbing him, and I took him down, I think in the second round with that nice single leg, and he did a great job of throwing up that triangle and scrambling out or whatnot. But I felt that I could control him. I felt that I was stronger than him, a bigger frame than him. So I was like, hey man, if it's a close fight, what do all these guys do? The judges love to see some clinching. They love to see a little bit of control, maybe a takedown. I'm like, all right, do it. And then when I was controlling him, I didn't feel him going anywhere. So I was like, hell, if he's not going, I'm gonna stay. And I was catching him with some really nice shots there, some poppers on the fence that I don't care who you are, man. I know he was feeling those. They were hitting square, they were hitting flush, they were pounding them. Yeah, so I knew I was stealing the round.
How close were you to finishing him in round two? Because it seemed like you had him right on the ropes, maybe one or two like more precise shots you could have put him out. Did you think that too?
Oh, I certainly thought that when he went down and I came with a hard hammer fist and they got him kind of right in the back of the head. And of course, was not aiming for the back of the head. It's just how we were going. But I was like, oh, I know that one hurt. And then came in and I found him a little bit on the cage. I had him a couple times. I saw it in his eyes, man. I saw it in his eyes. He was ready to go. He was one punch away. But of course, he's like I said, a zombie, very durable, very tough. And then when I couldn't get him, I hit it. Well, remember, I got him with a huge elbow right on the cage. I was like, damn, like nothing, right? And a couple more got him with another little elbow. That's when I told myself, relax, man. You know, we talked about this. Don't blow everything right now and just be done, because this guy's very capable of sticking around and coming back and getting the win. And again, man, hats off to him. Like I said, that's what I was disappointed in. I just couldn't find him. I saw it. I saw he was ready. And maybe, that's my fault too. I should have composed myself a little bit, flicking that jab. He wasn't all the way out. I saw it in his eyes. He was ready to go, but he wasn't like desperate. And I rushed it. And when you rush it, you certainly don't find it. So, I just got to learn from that and grow and grow from there.
Well, congratulations on the win. Again, very impressive, especially being compromised to beat a tough guy like Oleksiejczuk here. Now, you were the first fight of the night, which really surprised me because I was prepping myself like, all right, Jacoby, I think he's the last fight of the prelims. And then you came out first, and I was really taken back. Was that always the plan, or did they switch things up?
Well, yeah, I was surprised too, man. I thought, yeah, for the longest time, I thought I was on the ESPN part right before the main card. And you never know until you go out there, but we go out there and it showed me as the first fight. And, there throughout fight week, a lot of people felt the same way. Ryan, they really did. I even talked to Joe Rogan after weigh-ins. I was like, hey, Joe, man, a big fan, fully support you. He's like, Dustin, likewise. He's like, how are you the first fight of the night? I was like, hell, I don't know, Joe. You got more pull than me. Why don't you go say something? But, I think it's all for viewership. It's all, maybe they wanted people tuning in early. I had a huge section there. So there was quite a bit of people there for the first fight of the night as well and cheering for me. And I think that, the UFC takes note of that as well. So hopefully I'll fight later on the card. It's always nice to have a few more fans and people in the arena and not just be so early. But at the same time, man, I'm paid the same way either way. So whatever, man, it was more time to hang out with my family and friends afterwards.
Yeah, well, obviously I've never made that walk to the octagon, but like I would think sometimes it might be nice to be the first fight of the night to just get it over with. Then you can kick back and celebrate the win if that's what you end up getting.
Yeah, you know what? And plus it's the veteran in me. I've been through it so many times. If you're going to worry about being the first fight of the night, your head's not in the right spot anyway, man. So while I did think about it early in the week, come fight night, come fight day, it's what's done is done. I've got one thing to focus on, and that's to go out there and perform and get a W, and that's what we did.
And I wanted to ask you too, what is the significance of the Tom Petty song "Running Down a Dream" that you come down to? I didn't think I've ever asked you that before, so I wanted to get your take on why walking out to that song.
Well, for one, I'm a huge Tom Petty fan, and I don't know. I've heard that song so many times. I've never thought of it being a walkout song, and I think the first fight I walked out to it might have been my first fight back in the UFC back in October 2020, and I used it, and man, it just fits perfectly. If it's what I'm doing. I'm running down a dream, and it's an absolute banger too. If we imagine walking to the octagon, just sit in the room and crank that music, and imagine walking to an octagon in front of fans, man, it gets my juices flowing, and it really symbolizes what I'm doing, and I love it. It fits perfectly.
It's definitely a great song. I love it. And you mentioned Joe Rogan earlier. I think it's about time that he brings you on his podcast for, as a guest, right? Have you talked to him about doing that?
Absolutely. And I think he would without any hesitation. I need to just go ahead and shoot him a DM and get something lined up. That'd be really cool, because you don't understand how much of and perhaps you do, but people understand the polarizing figure that Joe Rogan is, man. Anytime my name's mentioned on his podcast, especially here recently, the past year or so, I got a dozen texts coming in right away. Like, dude, did you see this? You were on Joe Rogan's. And then, after the fight, you don't know how many people sent me a picture of the TV of me and Joe. They're like, I just think that is so cool. So what a polarizing figure, and such a cool dude that I fully support and stand behind. And I would love to be on a show. That'd be super cool. It'd be big time for my career as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hopefully that happens. Now, if I'm doing an interview with Dustin Jacoby, I have to talk to you about golf. And we have the Players Championship this weekend. So who's your pick? Who's going to get their hand raised as the big winner this weekend?
I'm going to go with didn't Justin Thomas take it down last year? I think he's going to repeat this year, man. I'm taking Justin Thomas. I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. And unfortunately, I went to Vegas. While I was in Vegas, the weather was like 70 degrees here in Colorado for about 3 days in a row, had melted all the previous snow. And then for 2 days in a row, it dumped like a foot of snow. So now the snow's back, and now I got to wait to get out on the course again. So I can't wait, man. I'm itching to get out there. I missed my guy's golf trip, which was in Vegas the week before my fight for obvious reasons. But yeah, man, I can't wait for golf season coming up. I'm a big fan.
Is there any courses that you're hoping to play this year?
I don't have anything planned in particular. I am playing one event that I'm playing in that is really cool, is the Barstow Classic. I played in it last year, my first time ever, and my teammate and I were going to be flying into Nashville, Tennessee, to play in the Barstow Classic this year, April 26th. So, man, if we could just show up and ball out in that one time, that would be huge to be able to advance. And like I said, to an amateur golfer in the Barstow Classic to go on to the final round, that'd be super cool. We were close last year. A lot of things got to go right, but we got a chance.
All right. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the results of that. Hopefully you get the gold and bring the trophy home to Factory X there. Now you cracked the top 15. So congratulations there, my man. Long overdue. When are you hoping to step back in the octagon next? And give me an opponent that you have in mind. Is there someone that you think would make sense for you next?
Well, we called out Ryan Spann. I don't know if that booking is going to be available, but I believe he's number 11. And I think that's just a good opportunity to jump up into the top 10, man, go get a big win over a guy like that. And anybody, of course, who I call out, nothing but respect to them. I'm just trying to take what's theirs and trying to climb that ladder and do so however I can. And I'm thinking this summer sometime. I think International Fight Week would be super cool. First week in July, probably back in Vegas. And, it's going to be a big card, pay-per-view card. So I'm really hoping to that would be perfect. I've got a little bit of I'll be traveling here the next few weeks. I go back to Vegas this week with Cody Brundage. I'm in his corner, and I'll definitely be getting some treatment at the UFC PI. And on the following week, we're in Miami for a wedding. And the end of the week, the end of the month, we have a little vacation. And, of course, the Barstow in April. So I'll be hit and miss in the gym the next few weeks. I'll definitely be in there when I can. But then if we can really get after it in May and in June, have a great 8-10 week camp right before July, that'd be perfect.
All right, man. Always enjoy watching you compete. Again, congratulations on your big win at UFC 272. And we look forward to seeing you back in action soon. As always, great talking to you. Before I let you go, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where to follow you on social media. And if you have anyone to thank, the floor is yours.
I appreciate you giving me the platform, man. It's always great talking to you after a victory, talking some golf and amongst other things. And you can follow me at the Hanyak DJ on Instagram, same on Twitter. Of course, thank you to my team at Factory X, my team at Landau Performance, and Iridium Sports Agency. Without any of without that entire group of all three, I could not be doing what I'm doing now. And it really is just a testimony to the people who are around me, the people who are, with me daily, including my wife and my closest family and friends. And very thankful for the people in my life, man, and looking forward to, once again, climb that ladder and break into the top 10 this year.